I wish that we weren't being manipulated into believing that our dogs are omnivores instead of the carnivores that they are. I wish that we had been told the truth from the get-go that kibble is not life-sustaining, healthy nutrition. It is little balls filled with toxins and dead food and rendered meat products that have no business entering our dog's body. I don't believe it was always like this. Kibble was made in the 1940s during World War II. And that was a trying time back then. Maybe they couldn't feed them human food because they were barely able to get food for themselves. So I get that, okay? I get that. But back then, they weren't putting all the bad stuff in kibble. As time has gone on, the kibble companies have monetized this to the point where they have convinced us with their marketing schemes that kibble is what our dogs need to have healthy, long lives. It does not. They're carnivores. They must have a diet based on the things that a carnivore eats. Think about that. And it gets a little bit confusing because cats are obligate carnivores and dogs are facultative carnivores, and facultative carnivore can adjust a little bit and digest very broken down plant matter. It doesn't make them omnivores, though. If you really peel back the layers of what a facultative carnivore is, they can't store the nutrition that omnivores store. Their guts are short, their mouths, their jaws, everything screams that dogs are carnivores. But we feed them as if they're not. We feed them 40 to 60% of carbs, which is what kibble is, and bad preservatives and stuff that blocks their detox pathways and poisons them over time. Our dogs are living shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter lives because they're being fed kibble. Look, that's the truth. But we have got to stop covering our ears, covering our eyes so that we don't see this. Look, your dog is being harmed whether you accept it or not. Your dog is being harmed whether you agree with me or not. This isn't about opinions anymore, by the way. This is about science. We must stop if we want to have our dogs around as long as they should be. I'm not saying dogs are going to outlive us, right? But I know in my grandfather's day, his dogs lived well into their second decade. Now, I get that was in the 50s, the 60s, but they weren't feeding kibble. They were feeding farm scraps, meat scraps, raw meat scraps. They were feeding broken down, fermented plant matter. And their dogs lived a long, healthy life. How do you feed a facultative carnivore? You're going to learn all about that in my courses. How do you heal up their body and get them ready for the new diet? Because if you don't heal them up first, they're not going to accept the diet. They're going to have diarrhea and problems, and you're going to go right back to kibble after you go to the vet to get medicine to fix the diarrhea. And their vet's going to say, see, most of my clients try this and their dogs get sick. You shouldn't do it. Why do they say that? Because they don't know. They haven't been educated the right way in canine nutrition because guess who runs the nutritional programs in vet schools? The kibble companies. It's so barbaric. It's so messed up. That is not the way they're doing it in other parts of the world that value their animals. In fact, they're saying kibble's not even allowed to cross the borders if it's coming from the United States. Look, I want you to have understanding. I don't want this to be confusing. I want you to have the tools to be your dog's support before they transition fully into this diet plan. I want you to understand why their liver and kidneys are a little sluggish because of what kibble's done. I want you to understand why their pancreases are inflamed and sluggish and damaged because of what kibble has done. I want you to understand why. Their bioflora in their gut is virtually non-existent, and why the good bacteria has been destroyed by years of kibble. I want you to understand that, because when you can understand it, then you can do something about it and you can feel empowered. I am not looking to be in your life for the duration of your dog's life. I want to give you the information and empower you so that you have the tools that you need to feed your dog and adjust their diet and use food medicinally when things arise. It's available. Look, dogs' bodies are insanely simple. And when we can understand how their body works, we can understand what food they need to stay healthy. We know, right? Then it just becomes common for us to find a new way to do things. Yes, it's easy to pour kibble in a bowl, but once you get into a routine of feeding this way, it's not hard. And the thing that I don't miss at all, is the fact that I didn't know anything back then. I just was fine. I was really fine with just not knowing. I'm so glad I know now. I'm so glad I opened my eyes. There's a sense of peace and joy and comfort that comes from knowing that I'm doing the very best I can for my dogs. They've given me everything they have to give me, and a little bit of effort in feeding them the right way is what I'm giving back to them. Just because you're ignoring it, just because you bypass those reels on your feed in Facebook and Instagram, just because you turn people off when they're talking about this in the circles that you run, just because you're able to do that doesn't take away the fact that your dogs are being damaged at a cellular level if they're being fed kibble. I remember I couldn't accept the fact that all kibble was a problem. I remember asking, if I can't feed the food that I've been feeding, then what food do I feed? What kibble is there? I can't make their food. I hate to prepare meat. I'm not a cook. And I remember this gal telling me there is no kibble that's safe in the United States. What? That cannot be true. So I was on a quest looking, but she was right. It's because they can get away with it. It's the animal feed industry. Remember, all animal food falls under the American Feed Act, where they've defined meat as any byproduct of an animal. Think about that. We're not talking about juicy, lean cuts of meat and healthy organ meat. We're talking about rendered meat. We're talking about diseased and dying animals that have been euthanized and are entering in the food system for our dogs. And they're allowed to because the FDA is permitting it. It's truth. It's not normal to have all these skin lumps and bumps show up. It's not normal to have chronic ear infections. It's not normal to have loose poop that's stinky and big amounts of volume. It's not normal. Why are we seeing all these things? It's because of kibble. And when you stop the kibble, you heal their bodies and you start them on a healthy rotational meal plan that facultative canine carnivores need, that science tells us they need. I mean, everything changes. This is why I don't want you to ignore me. This is why it's so important, because you have a dog in your home right now that possibly is being fed kibble. And you're still hanging in there with me because you know what I'm saying is the truth. Your dog will live a longer, healthier, disease-free life if you start feeding them what science says they need, period. What I can promise you is this: I'm a truth teller. Honesty is one of the core values that I have that's so important to me. I am honest and I am kind and I'm grateful for my dogs. I have tremendous compassion and empathy for people who are going through what we've been through. And I am ready and willing to help anybody who needs it. So go to kibbleless.com. See if there's something we're offering that will benefit you. It's time that we make the change. It's time that we educate you into what to do and how to do it, where to source from. It's doable. It really is. Why do 80% of people choosing this way fail? It's not because they don't want to. They can't do it because they weren't given the education and the tools they need to actually do it the right way. And the right way is to heal up their bodies first as we're transitioning off of kibble onto whole fresh food. Then we get their bodies ready, and then we gradually and gently move them into the direction of whole fresh feeding. We got this. We can do this. And you're not alone. I'm ready to help you anytime you need. Take a peek at what we're doing, and I hope to see you in one of the courses. Bye for now.